The wants and needs when it comes to masks in school change like the wind.
My house is in that direction about 3 miles.
Depending on where you live.
And I firmly and strongly believe that we need to have a strong mask mandate until elementary age children can get vaccinated. And that's why I'm speaking out.
Tom Smith lives in rural Douglas County.
We're having our son, he's going to go to school. He has to be in school. He's been a year without his friends.
He has a third grader attending Larkspur Elementary School in a district encouraging but not requiring masks for students 11 and under.
I feel that the school is more reactive and not proactive.
Smith worries that the COVID Delta variants can harm his healthy son and others in school who are too young to be vaccinated.
And therefore all we need is a school bus driver, a cafeteria worker, or a teacher, or somebody who's not vaccinated get into a closed environment with elementary school children who are 100% unable to get a vaccine yet.
What Smith wants in Douglas County is what kids and families are protesting in Jefferson County, where that school district is mandating masks.
You don't have to put a mask on a kid, you just keep them safe.
For students ages 3 to 11.
And how many of you are planning on pulling your kids out of school?
Lindsay Datko organized this rally outside Jefferson County Public Health. Because, she says, this is where the local restrictions start.
It's time to choose something that doesn't infringe on the choices of others.
Datko says parents are willing to risk COVID exposure and their kids' physical health in exchange for better mental health.
The harms are very real. It's not just a simple restriction placed on our children. This is the third impacted year. Their academics, their social and emotional health is being affected. And it's very real, and the whole child needs to be considered.
Trying to harness the changing winds is the Tri-County Health Department.
Education's vital. The mental health of our students is vital, and I think we're going to have a really good year.
Dr. John Douglas is Executive Director of Tri-County Health, which oversees all of Adams, Arapahoe, and Douglas counties.
Now, so we actually have 15 public school districts across the 3 counties.
And each district can make its own decisions.
You know, it does make it more challenging because public health is the art of bringing science to the reality of a community, including the political reality.
Douglas knows the changing messages from the CDC about masks can be confusing, but necessary.
If you live in a coastal community, you behave differently immediately before and during a hurricane than you do after the hurricane.
And it's quite contradictory. And we're here to say, to allow parents to choose for their children.
We're worried about how he's going to be treated when he goes to school, and if he's the only one wearing a mask in his class.
Concerns about choice from both sides.
It's time for our children to have the same option.
And an elemental struggle of freedom hiding behind a mask.
And so he's going to go to school, he's going to wear a mask, he's going to risk being mask shamed, but we're going to let him go to school because he needs to go to school.
Last week, the city of Denver issued a public health order mandating vaccines for all teachers, staff, and volunteers in both private and public schools in the city. At this point, that is the only vaccine requirement for elementary and high schools in Colorado. I'm live right now outside of Boulder County Public Health, where a protest will begin. Protesters will come here who are against masks in school, and that will start in about 25 minutes. Kim.
And Nelson, we're seeing more and more parents in different districts push back against the policies. Are we going to continue to see these protests as the dates of school come up?
You know, the timing of these protests are certainly tied to the start of the fall semester that's coming up in school districts across the Front Range. Here in Boulder, the Board of Public Health will meet in about an hour, and the Boulder Valley School Board will meet tomorrow to discuss this exact issue, and they're going to meet with public health officials as well before they're expected to release its policy on whether students will have to wear masks in school. So, you know, most school districts waited until just before the school year started so they can have the most current information. So as these issues come up with classes starting up again, we expect to see more protests and petitions because people are passionate on both sides of this issue.
And it's interesting because you've talked to people, as you pointed out, Douglas County, Denver, all these different places, people are passionate. Why do you think there's just so much emotion attached to the masks and kids?
Well, you know, Kim, after talking with people on both sides of this issue, there's one thing that is clear, is that mask fatigue is certainly a factor in all this. You know, last year, students were forced to wear masks in school, and then, you know, these restrictions were lifted across the state, and people started to take the mask off. So people who are against mask wearing are certainly weary of going backwards, as they say. But, you know, the real emotion comes from the battle that exists at the core of all this. You know, you're talking about a battle of personal choice versus what the government believes is for the public good. And oftentimes these two notions don't go hand in hand. And I believe this is why people are so passionate about this particular issue.
All right, well, we know you've got your work cut out for you in the weeks ahead. Thank you, Nelson. We'll see you more at 5 o'clock as well.